Hello, everyone. Welcome to the U.S. Immigration News. If you're planning a short trip abroad this summer, maybe to visit family, attend a wedding, or take a vacation, there's a quiet rule change you absolutely need to know about. It's the kind of update that won't make national headlines, but could change your life at the airport. One misstep at the border, and your green card, your path to the American dream, could be gone. Starting July 5th, 2025, the Trump administration's new internal guidance empowers border agents to scrutinize lawful permanent residents like never before. And they're not just looking at how long you were gone, they're now examining whether you truly intend to reside in the United States. If you're a green card holder, this might be the most important immigration warning you'll hear this year. In this video, we'll break down what the July 5th rule change really means, how CBP and USCIS are redefining your right to re-enter the country, and what documents you must carry if you plan to travel. We'll also share real examples of how even short trips are triggering major problems, and how you can protect yourself before it's too late. If you are liking this video, please hit the bell button, subscribe and like it, so that you may get updates straight to your smartphone. Now let's get into the video. For many years, green card holders followed a simple rule. As long as you don't stay outside the United States for more than 6 months, you're fine. That 6-month threshold was the comfort zone. But under this new policy direction, that guideline is now outdated. It's no longer just about time. It's about proving your permanent connection to life in America. Border officials are now asking different kinds of questions. Instead of just asking how long you were away, they're asking where you live, where you work, who you live with, and what your plans are in the coming weeks. They're not just reviewing your passport, they're studying your lifestyle. Let's imagine a situation. You've taken a 4-month trip abroad to care for an aging parent. During that time, you've left your apartment lease behind, paused your job, and didn't file your most recent tax return because you didn't earn income. All reasonable choices, but now you're standing in front of a CBP officer at the airport. The officer asks for proof of your U.S. residence. They want to know where you live, what day you're returning to work, and if you have a return flight already booked before you even left. If your answers are vague, or if your documentation is incomplete, that officer might interpret your absence as abandonment. You may be asked to step into secondary inspection. From there, things can escalate quickly. Some green card holders are being pressured to voluntarily surrender their permanent residency on the spot. Others are being placed in deportation proceedings. It's not just about your plane ticket anymore. It's about how your entire life looks on paper. Officers are now trained to assess your intent to reside based on your tax history, your housing situation, your employment or school enrollment, and even things like whether you maintain a valid driver's license or active ID. Patterns of frequent exits and quick returns, something that once felt like smart travel planning, can now be viewed as evidence that you've moved your life overseas, even if you still believe you're rooted here. And here's where it gets even more serious. If you've filed your taxes incorrectly, it can directly undermine your residency. Filing as a non-resident or skipping your taxes entirely is now treated as a major contradiction. You're essentially telling the government, in writing, that you don't live in the United States, even if you still hold a green card. That single detail has already become one of the most common reasons people are being flagged at re-entry. Another layer of this policy shift is the treatment of people who travel for work or personal reason on a frequent basis. If you have business overseas, or if you're constantly flying back and forth for family reasons, your travel patterns could raise suspicion. The old mindset was that your green card gave you flexibility. The new reality is that flexibility has been replaced by risk. You may feel like you're returning home, but to the officer at the port of entry, you might look like someone who has mentally and logistically relocated elsewhere. Even the absence of an active address or proof of US ties can be interpreted as abandonment. If you don't have utility bills, an apartment lease, recent pay stubs, or school records to show your connection to life in America, the assumption now leans against you. The absence of these things is no longer neutral, it's suspicious. At the border, you may not get a second chance to explain yourself. Officers are conducting longer, more detailed interviews. They're reviewing your digital footprint, including email accounts and even social media, if suspicion arises. If they believe you've left the US behind, they can ask you to sign a form, surrendering your status. If you refuse, they may still place you in immigration court, where you'll have to spend time, money, and emotional energy trying to restore what you once had by right. People who never imagined themselves as at risk, those with clean records, no criminal history, and years of lawful presence, are finding themselves stopped, questioned, and sometimes turned away. What used to be a process based on duration has now become a process based on interpretation. And once you're flagged, the record follows you. Even one re-entry that triggers an abandonment suspicion can leave a mark that complicates future renewals, travel permits, and naturalization applications. It's a red flag that's hard to shake. This change, while quietly implemented, represents a broader shift in how the Trump administration is approaching immigration enforcement. There's no need for sweeping new legislation when internal guidance can change how the rules are applied. Officers have been given broad discretion, and it's up to travelers to prove their legitimacy. The burden has quietly shifted. If you are planning to travel, you must treat your green card like it's under review. That means keeping up with your US tax obligations, maintaining a physical address, staying connected through employment or school, and making sure your legal documents, like driver's licenses or state IDs, are renewed on time. And most importantly, when returning to the US, bring physical evidence that supports your life here. Don't assume your passport stamp tells the whole story. It doesn't. There's a clear mindset shift underway. Officers are being told not to look at numbers, but to look at patterns. If your pattern suggests you've built a life elsewhere, they may decide you no longer belong here. And once they make that call, reversing it can be a long and painful process. The US Immigration News Channel provides all necessary visa information and procedures for your US immigration journey. It is important to understand the United States immigration processing steps, visa application requirements, processing times, forms, fees, and more. We will continue to provide all information about US visitor visas, such as B1 and B2, work visas, such as L1A, L1B, and H1B, student visas, green cards, immigrant visas, EB1, EB2, EB3, EB4, and EB5, and family immigrant visas. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the U.S. Immigration News channel. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.